Before we begin our next Sofa Chat, if you feel inclined, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to receive the notifications. A guy sitting behind a computer reacting to music videos, but the difference is this guy is not reacting to the obvious big artist videos, but instead he's supporting everything in the underground UK hip-hop scene. From past to present, and he's amassed over 300 reaction videos within the first year of him starting his YouTube channel. Impressive work rate. But it's crazy to think that this guy in Canada supports our independent UK hip-hop scene more than we probably supported ourselves. And maybe we could learn something about ourselves from watching him. An outsider's perspective that could maybe help us to open our eyes and rebuild a scene that we deserve to have. I'd like to introduce to the 521 Sofa Chat, Canadian Dad Reacts.
Thank you very much. I'm humbled and happy to be here. Thank you.
I came across your page probably about 3-4 weeks ago. And I also saw you on a couple of chats that you'd done with Harry Love and a couple of other people. And it kind of got my attention in the way that I was thinking, why is this guy sitting in Canada watching our scene? Is he a stalker? Is he obsessed? What is it? Do you know what I mean? So I want to find out, first of all, your background, and then to go into more detail about why you decided to go with the UK hip hop scene.
I guess my background I was born and raised in a small town north of Toronto, and it's a city now, but it's a small community. Started listening to hip hop probably around 12 or 13. So I'm about 35 years into listening to hip hop, and I was in a number of hip hop groups, and we tried to do our thing. And actually, a buddy of mine, he actually has done some work with Jabba the Cut, because I know that cat does some stuff over in the UK as well. So basically, got into hip hop by accident because I was really into heavy metal. I was visiting a cousin. I put on Much Music, which is kind of like MTV here in Canada. And a Kumo D video popped up, and it was Wild Wild West. And then that was it for me. I was like, I cut my hair, got rid of all my concert t-shirts, and became hip hop all the time for me. And it has been that way for 35 years. When it comes to the UK hip hop, it was, pandemic struck. I found that my creative outlet was gone because I write, I get up and I write every morning, but I found that I couldn't write. I couldn't draw anymore. I couldn't paint anymore. So I needed something, and kind of out of a joke, I said to my daughters, like, "Hey, should I start a YouTube video?" And they got really excited. Like, "Yeah, it'd be great. You should do it." I have a few reactors that I like on YouTube, but I'm like, I don't want to do the same stuff as they do because they all do the same artists. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be. Because like here's the perfect example is I showed this to my daughters because they asked me to react to the new NF track that came out last week, and I said, well, why am I going to do that? And I opened up YouTube and I showed them, and there was pages and pages and pages of reactions to the same song, like dozens of reactions, and I'm like, NF doesn't need my help. Not saying that the UK artists do, but what I mean by that is that when a cat comes out and he gets 60 million views on a video, gets a couple hundred reaction videos, what am I going to do? What's an extra video, or what's an extra reaction video going to do? So sorry, getting back to what had happened was my friend had been trying to get me to watch UK hip hop for a long time, just wasn't interested, because by the time I reached the stage, I'd become so, although it was like I only listened to hip hop, I started to get disconnected from it, and I started listening to old hip hop rather than the new stuff because it was so different, not what I was feeling. I found most of it was, sex, drugs, and women. That's all every single rap song was about. And it's like, I'm in my 40s, man. I have a mortgage. I have children. None of that stuff appeals to me, right? I wanted to hear about, people who go to work every day and bust their ass and, try to make ends meet, but still chasing their dreams. So I decided, hey, I'll check out UK hip hop. My buddy tells me, It's conscious music. I'll give it a listen, tape myself doing it. I picked the Four Owls, Honor Codes is the first track I did. And by the end of that first track, I was like, this is everything I've ever wanted out of hip hop that I haven't been getting for about 20 years. I haven't been getting that type of excitement. It felt like falling in love all over again, I guess.
You said that you were writing and everything, but then you just lost interest, or you just couldn't do it anymore. Was it because you lost interest?
It's just when the pandemic started, and I just got in, like I'd sit down on my computer and I would have ideas, but I just couldn't get the creative juices to flow. And I also paint and I also draw. I couldn't do either of those things as well. Just when my regular creative outlets were not working for me. I guess I was just, because of all the stuff that was happening outside in the world, seeing what my kids were going through, you know, being told they couldn't go to school. You know, my oldest daughter, she was in grade 8. No, my apologies. My youngest daughter was in grade 8, and, you know, she's being told that there isn't going to be any grade 8, you know, graduation. There isn't going to be a big celebration like there usually is. You know, all these friends that, you know, she would see every day, she couldn't see them anymore. So it was like really strange to see what they were going through. And I couldn't, I guess there just wasn't enough, you know, I don't know. My heart wasn't full enough, I guess. Maybe I was kind of drained that way. I just couldn't tap into it.
And somebody tells me that you're also a video director yourself.
Yeah, I do a lot of audio visual stuff. I do graphic design. And that's the thing too, is through my daily job, I'm creative every day. Whether it's graphic design, photography, audio, video, I shoot and edit video. You know, I do drone footage. I do all that kind of stuff. The only thing I probably don't do like I used to would be the painting and the drawing. That kind of has gone off to the side. But yeah, a lot of my daily chore or daily work is all video production, video editing, graphic design. Graphic design is every single day, but I do audio, video stuff quite a bit as well, yes.
The fact that you were supporting a scene, did you start getting reactions from people in the UK responding to your reaction videos? Did you see that there was something there that was needed? You know what? Let me rephrase that last bit. Was desperately needed, because there were so many acts that never get a look in.
When the artists started reaching out to me and thanking me for doing it, and then a lot of the fans kept saying, "Don't change what you're doing," because there's too many people who started doing what you're doing, and then they realized, well, if I switch over and start doing grime, my subscriber list is going to jump, you know, 5,000-10,000 subscribers, you know, and I'm not going to get that with underground hip hop because the community is so small. And I've had people push me in that direction, and I've said I'm not interested. Like I'm not going to react to something that I'm not interested in. Plus, these are people who I truly feel like I've made friendships with, that I have connections with. I want to see them succeed, right? I'd like to see it to a point where they get to the point where they're so big when they're getting 60 million views on their video. Like I want that for these cats.
What's to say that we put people like Lab 79 out there and to the masses, and more of the masses are gonna go, yo, I like these guys.
But I think now more than ever is like people are just their minds are so easily manipulated to believe one thing or the other thing. So they just wait to be told this song is good, and then, you know, it ends up on TikTok or you know, if their friend likes a certain song, well, I better like it too because my friend likes it. And everyone wants to just follow everybody else. It's an epidemic all on its own. And I think that's what it is that, you know, radio stations, media, social media, all that kind of stuff tells people this is what's cool. This is what you should be listening to. And people just say, yeah, okay, if that's what you say is what's supposed to, I mean, you turn on a radio here, which I hardly ever do, but I turn the radio on and it's like, well, I haven't had the radio on for 2 weeks, and yet your guys are playing the exact same song you played last time I turned it on. So it's just like they just keep hammering this into you, saying this is the shit that you should be listening to, because this is the person, the artist who fits a certain mold that'll sell, more than ever, people are, the person themselves or the brand that they create is more important than the music that they produce. And the funny thing is I talk to a lot of Americans on Twitter, and all they do is bitch and moan and complain about the quality of hip hop coming out of the US. And I'm like, well, if you want to get your mind blown, listen to this. And they're like, well, I don't know if I want to do that. So I was like, okay, well, when you're done bitching and complaining, listen to this song. Like, I often send these people, Oh Kitty K, for example. I'll send them that track and I'll say, if you listen to this hip hop or UK hip hop song, and you can tell me that first verse by Remus is not one of the hardest things you've ever heard on any song ever, you're full of shit. Because it's one of the best hip hop verses I've heard in 35 years.
And Remus obviously comes from a good pedigree, you know what I mean? So, like, he's serious.
Yes.
It's like, anyone who knows. We don't need to go there, but anyone who knows. Yeah. And anyone who wants to find out, just go on Google and type in Remus.
Yeah, you won't be disappointed. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm curious why you are not supporting Canadian artists, and you've come all the way to the UK. Well, not traveled, but just via the net. You're looking at UK acts and not Canadian acts for what you're doing.
I come across a lot of the underground artists that I found are very much talking about the same stuff, like money, drugs, gang banging, like growing. Because they grew up in Toronto, so rather than talking about something different, they talk about what everyone else talked about before them, and they focus on the fact that they have to show that they're tough. They have to show that they're the same as someone who grew up in Brooklyn, and it's not. It's different. I mean, it's same, but it's different, right? So I only dug so deep until I realized that, well, I'm not getting anything different. And for me, with the UK hip hop, it took me, that very first track, Honor Codes, I realized, okay, these cats are different.
So you think originality is missing?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that missing in music today. I mean, usually when something new comes out and it's different, it's usually panned. It's considered, I know I keep bringing up NF, but he's the biggest one over here, one of the biggest ones up right here. But when he first came out, people would make fun of him all the time. And this last mixtape he brought out, he had Tech Nine and Hobson on as guest artists, right? So, but people didn't like him because he didn't swear. He talked about his love for God. He talked about dealing what it's like to grow up in a household that didn't have a dad, and his mother was a drug addict. Watch his mother OD, like all this kind of shit he talked about. Very much a similar story as Eminem, just delivered a little bit differently. But everyone just kind of panned him and said, but now everybody wants to work with him.
Now imagine that as a movie. Everyone's going to go and watch that movie because they like the drama. But why is it not working when it comes to the music?
I guess it kind of goes back to what you were saying a little bit about the escapism, right? Like, I mean, a lot of people are dealing with depression, anxiety, especially these days. So they don't want to they don't want to put music on and listen to somebody talking about, having to deal with anxiety or having to deal with depression. They want to numb that. And I think that's why, but I think that's not the correct thing to do. Like,
I agree.
I think there's too many people, especially these days, try to find a way to, rather than feel their feelings, they try to numb those feelings. And that's why there's been some videos where I've done where I have tears streaming down my face. I'm crying like a child watching a video. And, I could have been like, well, I'm not gonna post that because I don't want to be seen as a weakling or whatever. But that's how I was feeling. So I put it out there, and people have thanked me. Thank you for being truthful and showing your feelings, right? But I think that's what happens these days, is that everyone wants to hide from the feelings, so they take drugs, they rely on alcohol, they don't want music or movies that remind them that their life can be shitty at times. To me, that's much more powerful than listening to some guy with rainbow hair repeat the same word over and over and over and over again to a beat that's not even all that great.
If all of us get together, support each other, do you think a change is possible? Or do you think there's too many egos that's blocking that happening?
I'm including myself in this because being an author is an art form. And there are times where I start, you go on Twitter and you see, that other people are signing book deals, other people are getting attention, and you get this in your head. It's like, well, why am, I'm a better writer than this person. Why am I not getting the attention? So I think there's always that little bit of ego that pops up, man. Like the little demon pops up on your shoulder and says, like, screw that guy, because if that guy gets a piece, then he's going to take my piece. But I think that is so wrong, man. Like there's infinite pieces of pie out there. There really is. Like everybody can eat, and that's, I think artists and on every art form forget that. If just because somebody buys a Dirty Dyke record doesn't mean they're not going to buy yours. If you put the right people in place that aren't out for themselves and that are out for everybody, because when the whole scene starts to blossom, then everybody gets to smell the roses, right? Like everybody gets the chance. But if everyone's fighting each other or not wanting to have a hand up to this person, or doesn't want this person to succeed because that means that this person over here won't succeed, then you start fighting each other, and it's never going to reach that point you want to reach if you're all fighting each other. I look at that as like a sports team. If you get a team in the playoffs who are all on the same mindset, they all have the same singular vision, they're just going to roll through people. If you get a bunch of people and there's infighting, this person doesn't like this person, I don't want to pass the ball to that guy because he's an asshole, your team's going to fall apart and everybody's going to suffer at that point, in my mind. From everybody in the UK that is seeing the support, I just want to say thanks for doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. To be honest, I'm not obviously in tune with it as you guys are. I beg to differ there. I think that you're more in tune to it than a lot of people, because we live in a time where people are just like swipe. There are people that are liking and swiping and not even seeing what's going on out there. But because of what you're doing, you're actually paying attention to what's going on. So don't underestimate what you're doing, bro. You're doing a lot more than a lot of people here. Okay, so why is a cat like Kashmir can take the time to tell me how much my channel means to the community when some young guy I've never heard of is basically saying, here, this is what you do, you're a dancing monkey, react to my video. Right? That's kind of the way I feel. And I don't react to those people. I just delete the message. It's like, well, I don't, I owe so much of my joy these days, I owe to UK hip hop. If I'm not reacting to it, I'm listening to it, I'm talking about it. It's the background music it's my soundtrack. Like it's playing 24 hours a day. So I owe a lot of my joy to UK hip hop. I owe a lot of what's happening on my channel to the artists that I have reacted to. But the way I look at it is it's a mutual partnership. Like if they respect me, I respect them. I buy their stuff. I support them in every way that I possibly can. But unless that respect is returned, then I won't. I give you respect until you take it, until you give me a reason not to give it to you. And I think that's maybe what the UK scene needs is a bunch of people start needing to respect each other as people. And realizing that working together makes it much stronger than trying to do something alone, right? There's loads of people out there as artists that have worked at it for donkey's years, 10, 20 years, and still not getting the results. And then there's others that come in and they expect you to do everything for them, and they think that the world owes them something, but that's not the case. There's a track I did from Concrete Slugs the other day. I showed my partner last night. I was like, my partner Vanessa, I was like, this makes me sad. And I showed her that my reaction video had 164 views, and their video itself, which the video is outstanding, tremendous animation, a ton of work went into it, a lot of money I'm pretty sure was spent, and they had 104 views. Like my reaction video had more views, and then I said, to that makes me sad. And then you go and you look up another artist who all they do is talk about bitches, money, and drugs, and they get 3, 4, 5 million views, right? Saying nothing at all. And that just like, it's horrible in my mind. But yeah, just, it's sad to me that there's that little support for a song that's powerful.
You see that humbleness that you're talking about with Kashmir, for example. Do you think that comes from being in the scene for so many years, knowing the downsides, the upsides, and do you feel like that's got something to do with it? Because a lot of the youngsters that come in, they just, like I said, not all of them, but I've come across quite a lot that just feel like, yo, I'm here, you need to step aside now.
Yeah, I see that, especially over here. I see a lot of artists who have no respect for the cats that have come before them. Because the way I look at it, if it wasn't for guys like you and for guys like Kashmir and Chester, Pharma, like all these guys, and I know the list goes on and on. There's a bunch of cats I don't even know of yet. I understand that. But without this core that started back, there would be no genre for some MC to begin rapping today and become popular. If it wasn't for the people who came before you carrying that torch, there would be no genre for you. And I think there's, I hear the stuff that people say, younger artists, and it just disgusts me. And that's why I like a guy like, a cat like Barbarian.
Oh, he's sick.
This guy's got nothing. Yeah, he's a sick MC, and he's got nothing but love for the people who've come before him, right? So that makes, to me, that means a lot. But a guy like Kashmir, I think I look at the fact, he came up when there was no social media, where there wasn't you actually had to, like what you did, man. You had to make your CDs. You had to hand that shit out on the corner.
Yo, let me correct you there. It was make the vinyl, not the CD. We were carrying vinyl with us. It wasn't a joke. I used to come home with all bruises and everything, and my girlfriend at the time was there thinking I was having an affair. I'm like, yeah, I have, with my records on my shoulders. You know what I mean? Like all these scratches and everything. Jesus. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Right. So there you go. You were out on the corner carrying hundreds of pounds of vinyl. You were grinding, right? You actually had to physically hand people your music, right? And I think it's the same thing with writing. Is there's this self-publishing's become so prevalent that you can write the most horseshit thing that has ever been written and publish it because it can be published. And I think that's kind of what it is now. Is you can get the music to millions of people, well, maybe not millions of people, but you can get the music onto a platform for free. It costs you nothing. And maybe if you're lucky, the right person sees it. That's what everyone is hoping for. Mm-hmm. But you basically throw it up on social media, and even if people don't want to see it, they're going to see it. It's in your face. Mm-hmm. But a guy like Kashmir, gone through the ups and downs, gone through the grinding, having to hand out his music on the corner, had to, be in a club and look out and there'd be 20 people in the audience. So he knows what it's like to sign a record deal, be let go from a record. I'm making this up. I don't know this for true, but signing a record deal, being let go from a company, seeing a company fold, all this type of things that he had to go through makes you respect and honor the art form much more than somebody who can just be like, hey, I can buy a mic on Amazon, throw it up in a thing, throw some card or some soundproofing on my wall, and I can be an MC. As long as, because I spit, put it out on Instagram, and there you go, I've become famous.
A lot of these people don't even know what a live performance is because they've never done one. It's they have no clue. But talking of horse shit, here's some I made earlier. Give me a second. I'm just joking. With the number of people that I speak to on a regular basis, we're always talking about the problems. But I like to get down to the solution, right? And I try and get these answers from people. So, in your opinion, right? What is the solution? Scratching your beard ain't gonna help, bro.
It helps me think. You know, I think what we talked about earlier is, you know, really supporting the people. You know, artists supporting other artists, and you know, there tends to be this. You know, you see the same cats working together all the time. Yeah, I mean, like and I get it, like there's guys signed to High Focus that always work with High Focus guys, even though they have their own record companies and stuff. I get that. There's that. You know, I look what, you know, kind of like what Verbs has done recently. He's been on a bunch of different record labels with a bunch of different cats. Introduced me to some people that I hadn't heard of before, because I'm a big fan of Verbs, and what him and Mr. Slips did with their album was incredible. So I've been following what Verbs is doing, and I've been introduced to some artists I haven't heard of. So what I think is, like, if there's some kind of, you know, coming together where artists support each other, they cross. Like, I love it, man, when I come across a track that has a couple of the Four Owls, a couple of the members of Split Prophets, like that type of stuff. But I find those tracks are hard to come by. They're few and far between. They're a little bit older. Like, more of that stuff, bringing guys together, introducing, maybe there's some Four Owls fans that have never heard of Split Prophets, and vice versa, right? Mm-hmm. Introducing cross germination type of thing. Keep building and building and building until everybody is kind of at that level. Then you can start working about bringing up some of the smaller artists. You know, because we talked about Barbarian. In my mind, Barbarian's one of those guys that everybody should know, right? He's one of those artists that you know, a lot of MCs should be, you know, getting him in, working with him. But he, you know, the guy's hustling. He's doing his nose to the grindstone every day. He's doing everything he has to do. So I'll give him that. But the industry and the UK hip hop will only get better if we keep propping up the artists that deserve to be propped up, and stop saying, well, if I give this cat some shine, then I'm not going to get mine, because we need to get out of that mindset. And I have to admit, sometimes, you know, I do my best to stay out of that mindset. I truly, honestly do. And there's still some times where I'll be like, is anybody copying me? And then I'll go and I'll look, and I'll see like a new YouTube channel pop up doing UK reactions. And then I start to get that, you know, the ego starts to turn a little bit, and you're like, how dare you? This is my thing. But it's not my thing, man. Like, the UK hip hop would be better if there was 10 of me, 20 of me, putting out a video or two every single day, you know, focusing on different artists. Like, all of us doing the same 4 hours track accomplishes nothing. But getting those roots down and getting people propped up, rather than me saying, how dare he do a 4 hours track? I own the 4 hours. Like, that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Right? Coming together and you know, when you post something on Instagram, that's why I reshare it. It's the same any single time somebody has, you know, an artist puts out, you know, they're dropping a video on Friday. I put it, you know, I repost it, because people need to know. People need to see what Drazzy has to say. Right? You maybe not even know who that is. You know, you need to hear this track that Barbarian did, or you need to know that, you know, Right to Speak is coming out with a new album. You know, it may not be your thing, but maybe you haven't heard of these people. And I friggin' love that on my channel, when there's a UK resident who says, I've lived here my entire life and I've never heard of these guys. Thank you so much for introducing me to their music. And I think to myself, how the hell can you be in the UK in such a great scene and never heard of these guys? But then we had this conversation, and then I realized that's exactly why they never hear of these guys, right? So they're not being promoted. They're not being presented to anybody as this is what you should be listening to. So maybe that's a roundabout way of just saying, coming together. Like, I would love to see, when the pandemic is over, I would love to come over there and see, you know, I don't know what kind of stadium, like Wembley Stadium or whatever the hell it's called, filled to the top with like 100 artists all UK underground artists coming together, and just holding like a 2-day festival, just busting everyone's brains open with the best music in the world. Like in my mind, that's the type of thing that would be the step in the right direction.
You've talked a little bit about High Focus, and you talked a little bit about Leaf Dog and all those guys. Do you feel like they are doing enough to support the people that are below them that are trying to get a leg up as well? Or do you think that, because now they're at a certain level, that they're only bringing in sort of the bigger names, like they might go to America and look at, I don't know, Redman, or do you get what I'm saying? Or do you think they're bringing in enough people from, like, imagine Barbarian on something they're doing, because Barbarian is sick.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone could be doing a little bit more, and I don't know, and I thought I found it kind of interesting was that there were so many artists, like Leaf Dog has his own album, has his own record company, Verb T has his own record company, Flip Tricks has his own record company, obviously being High Focus. If I look at myself, there's more than I could be doing. So yeah, there's got to be more than everybody over there. They could be doing more too. Like I just think, I think sometimes we get so we get so focused on what's important to us at this very moment, and we try to fulfill our needs first before everybody else's. Which there is some good to that, but I think when you become too focused on what's right in front of your face, then you don't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. And you don't look at, you look at where your next meal's coming from, not looking at, well, if we all come together and do this, and I support these guys, or if I get these cats on the album, then they will eat too. I don't know if people think that way all the time, and I don't know how we get to that.
Is there anything specifically that you want to get off your chest right now?
One thing I don't quite understand is that like 95% of my views on YouTube come from people who aren't subscribed to my channel. So I think that comes down to what we're talking about support, right? Like, it doesn't take much to subscribe to a channel or like a video. So, support people who are supporting you, so to speak. If you love UK hip hop music and a cat is doing everything they can to support them, then support them back. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing this to make money. I think since I started the channel, I think I've made $7. I think since I started the channel, it's not what I'm doing it. And even that, the $7 that I've made, I've probably spent 10 times that, or 100 times that in music and merchandise. So show your support to people, man. If they do something that you love, support them in any way you can. And I say that on my channel all the time.
There's an easy fix to this support thing, isn't it? So just find yourself a couple of fit girls, get them pole dancing in front of like you when you're doing your reviews, and your views are just going to skyrocket. So like, or better still, just get like, I don't know, $40,000-$50,000, put it on a table in front of you, like all spread out with loads of drugs and everything and alcohol and the pole dancers. And that's your views. Boom, gone. Then you'll abandon UK hip hop and just be like, yeah, screw all of that. I'll just carry on with this drug shit. Your life is sorted. Anyway, would you like to tell people where they can find you?
I'm on Canadian Dad Reacts on YouTube, as well as Instagram. I don't use Twitter all that much, but I am on Twitter. I think it's called Canuck Dad Reacts, because Canadian Dad Reacts wouldn't work. I don't go on Facebook all that often. So I don't have a Facebook presence there, but mostly just Instagram. If you're a new artist, or if you're an established artist, and you want to reach out to me there and send me a link. Like I literally have 150 to 200 artists there right now who are waiting for me to check out their stuff. But
that's ridiculous.
Never worry about that. Like I'll get to it. So send stuff, and same thing on. And I think another thing too is like, I guess is before you send me a link to your music, check out a video too first to make sure it fits. Because I get stuff all the time where it's like, react to this video, and it's like hardcore grime. That it's all like you said, the drugs and the money and the pole. And it's like, obviously you haven't watched a single one of my videos because you know that this isn't what I'm about. So before you just decide that I'm here for you make sure I'm right for you and you're right for me, I guess. But yeah, feel free to reach out on Instagram. I do everything I can to help the artists, and I love interacting with fans and my subscribers and stuff. So it always surprises me when I respond to somebody and they're like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for taking the time. I never thought I would hear from you." And it's like, it's kind of just another human being, man. Like it's called being a human when you respond to somebody when they send you a message. But I get it when it's somebody like No Life Shack over here with like 2 million subscribers. I imagine that must be nutty. But if I'm getting this type of artists reaching out to me, and I have 2,100 subscribers, I can only imagine what it must be like for him. But hey, one day, that's my goal, man, is we break that $1 million or million subscriber list, because that means that we've really got people listening to UK hip hop, man. That's my goal. Once I get it outside of the UK and people start paying attention outside of that, I think all of us are going to eat then, so to speak.
Well, let's build towards that. This is a guy who's been supporting the UK hip hop movement all the way from Canada. More than most people on our own shores have been supporting it. So please go follow him on all his connection pages. All the relevant links can be found in the description below. Comment, like, share, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that bell for the notifications. Until next time, thank you for watching.